Patrick Swayze would have been 70 years old today.
And we miss him every day.
Every day. And his classic Dirty Dancing will turn 35 this Sunday. In honor of both milestones, Only I spoke with Patrick's widow, Lisa Niemi, who is sharing private memories.
Patrick Swayze remains one of the most versatile actors Hollywood has produced. The actor's acting, dance moves, and charisma quickly warmed their way into our souls and remained there. Not only was he talented, Swayze was popular for his looks and media image, and he was the sexiest man alive in 1991. Despite this success in his career, Swayze suffered some major tragedies and had some secrets in his life, some of which fans had no idea about. However, in this video, his widow, Lisa Niemi, reveals her long-kept secret about her late husband. Childhood. Swayze was born on August 18, 1952, in Houston, Texas, to Patsy Swayze and Jesse Wayne Swayze. The young Swayze was the couple's second child. He had an older sister, Vickie, and two younger brothers, Don and Sean. Then, his parents adopted their youngest sister, Bambi. Swayze's father worked as a chemical plant engineering draftsman, while his mother was a dancer, choreographer, and dance instructor. He spent his early life in the Oak Forest neighborhood of Houston, where he remained for the next 2 decades. There, he attended St. Rose of Lima Catholic School, Oak Forest Elementary School, Black Middle School, and Waltrip High School. He was involved in many extracurricular activities, including artistic and athletic activities such as ice skating, classical ballet, gymnastics, swimming, and acting in school plays. He also played football during high school and planned to get a football scholarship for college, but a knee injury ended that dream. He received gymnastics training at San Jacinto College in Houston, Texas. At the same time, he was learning martial arts, from wushu to taekwondo and aikido. Despite his football injury, Swayze still danced, since he had developed an interest in dance and learned from his mother.
We made it.
In 1972, he moved to New York City to join Harkness Ballet and Joffrey Ballet Schools to improve his dancing. Switching from dance to acting. His first professional dance performance in New York was for the Disney On Parade event, organized by the Disney Theatrical Group. He then switched from dancing to acting. His first start in acting was as the replacement cast for the Broadway production of Grease, in which he played the character Danny Zuko. On June 12, 1975, Swayze got married to Lisa Niemi. They had met in 1970 when Swayze was 18 years old, and Niemi was a 14-year-old, taking dance lessons from Swayze's mother. 4 years after his marriage, in 1979, Swayze debuted as Ace in the film Skate Town, USA. He also appeared as Private Sturgis in the M***S**H episode Blood Brothers in 1981. That same year, he was in the movie Return of the Rebels with Barbara Eden. 2 years later, he appeared briefly on the short-lived TV series The Renegades as Bandit, a gang leader. His father's death and the start of his alcoholism. 1982 was a tragic year for Swayze and his entire family, as they lost the family patriarch. 30-year-old Swayze rarely talked about his father, but he clearly took it hard, as his drinking started around this time. His career was just picking up thanks to his minor television roles, which showed Hollywood's right people his potential for becoming truly great in entertainment. And his big break eventually came when he was called in to play the older brother of C. Thomas Howell, and Rob Lowe are in the movie The Outsiders in 1983. Swayze became better known to Hollywood's elite at the time, and after that, he played a Marine Corps trainer in the Vietnam rescue film Uncommon Valor with Gene Hackman. In 1984, 3 of the actors who worked on The Outsiders joined him in the film Red Dawn.
Speaking of Swayze, Roadhouse, that's another horrible movie that's amazing.
But people love that movie.
Oh, it's great.
Along with Jennifer Grey. Swayze's first major dramatic success was in the 1985's North and South, set during the American Civil War. The following year, he and Lowe were part of the film Young Blood. Gradually, Swayze became a familiar face in Hollywood, but his best was yet to come. The big breakthrough Dirty Dancing. Swayze and Jennifer Grey were the lead in 1987's Dirty Dancing. At the time, it was just a low-budget American romantic drama dance movie written by Eleanor Bergstein, with Linda Gottlieb as producer and Emil Ardolino as director. The movie was about a young lady by the name of Frances "Baby" Houseman.
Jennifer Grey, if you've watched her career at all, she's an incredibly available actress. She goes, what you strive for as an actor is
falling in love with dance instructor Johnny Castle at a vacation resort. Swayze played the resort dance instructor, Johnny Castle, while Gray was Francis. Swayze's background in professional dance played a very important part in his getting cast for the role of the male lead. Director Ardolino preferred dancers like Swayze, who could act and dance because he wanted to avoid using stand-ins, which were pretty popular then. And 34-year-old Swayze was a seasoned dancer who had already appeared in Grandview, USA in 1984 and had worked with Gray on another movie, Red Dawn. The production understood that they were lucky to have him on board. And fortunately, when Swayze read the script, he fell in love with the character of Johnny Castle. But shockingly, the smooth, professional relationship the production expected between Swayze and Gray was apparently a myth, as she wasn't happy about Swayze being cast as the male lead. Unknown to many, she and Swayze had difficulty working together on their last movie. However, all that flew out of the window when they did their dancing screen test. The two had incredible chemistry, so much so that Bergstein described it as breathtaking. The film became a milestone in Swayze's career, as well as in Hollywood. His exceptional performance in the film earned him a Golden Globe Award nomination. Dirty Dancing was the first film to sell 1 million copies on video, grossing hundreds of millions worldwide. Different versions of the movie were also created, ranging from TV series to stage productions to computer games. In addition to his acting and dancing, Swayze also co-composed and sang She's Like the Wind, which was one of the songs on the movie's soundtrack. He stated that his wife, Niemi, was the inspiration for the song. The song became a top 10 hit that other artists have since covered. After Dirty Dancing, Swayze was in great demand and appeared in several films from 1987 to the 1990s. More successful movies. He appeared in Roadhouse in 1989 with Sam Elliott, Ben Gazzara, and Kelly Lynch. Then, his acting alongside Demi Moore and Whoopi Goldberg in Ghost was duly praised. His delivery of Sam Wheat, the murdered man who speaks to his fiancée through a psychic, showed the world how good he was at playing emotional roles. This, of course, cemented his reputation as a versatile actor who could take on complex characters and truly bring them to life. This role can be regarded as his first major lead role. For emphasis, Ghost was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Picture, and Swayze earned another Golden Globe nomination for his acting. Unsurprising as the movie was, the highest-grossing film of 1990 and at one point, the fourth highest-grossing film of all time. His wife's miscarriage. But on the home front, Swayze was faced with another tragedy after his wife suffered a miscarriage. It was so bad that the couple gave up on having children. They decided to devote their time to loving their ranch, which was full of dogs, horses, and cattle. Swayze pointedly stated of his and his wife's decision, "We're a team." Clearly a team that works because in the same 1990, he was also doing some other gigs on the side, like hosting the 290th episode of SNL with musical guest Mariah Carey on October 27th. Then, the following year, he was with Keanu Reeves on the action crime movie Point Break.
Point Break, which is just such a fantastic, a lot of stunts in that. I mean, that was an intense.
This film won him a nomination at the MTV Movie Awards for Most Desirable Man. He was also named the Sexiest Man Alive by People magazine that same year. Of course, Swayze found more work, appearing in movies such as City of Joy, Fatherhood, and 3 Wishes. The death of his older sister. A third tragedy struck the Swayze household as their eldest sister died in 1994. Vickie Swayze had struggled with depression for several years. Now in her 40s, Vickie had ingested a lot of pills, which resulted in her death. It was a difficult time for the family following her sudden death. Rehab. Swayze, who had become an alcoholic following the death of his father and his wife's miscarriage, simply fell deeper into an abyss. But he eventually entered rehabilitation in the 1990s, and after getting better, he stayed on his ranches in California and Las Vegas, New Mexico, and bred Arabian horses. After his hiatus from show business, he returned in 1995. This time, he was a drag queen in the movie To Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar, alongside Wesley Snipes and John Leguizamo.
It reads great, you know, it's you don't want it to stop when you get to the end of the script, you know, and so you start reading it again.
As the 2 other drag queens with a broken down car during a cross-country trip that kept the 3 of them stuck in a small town. Swayze's accident on set. 2 years later, on the set of the film Letters from a Killer, while filming an escape scene, Swayze had an accident. He fell from a horse and got smashed into a tree, fracturing both of his legs and even hurting his shoulder. He had to be airlifted by helicopter from the filming location to the University of California at Davis Medical Center, some 50 miles away. According to reports, he was in some serious pain, but he was still joking a little. The production of the movie was delayed, as Swayze was bedridden for a long time. The movie was completed and released in the following year. Swayze was still in some discomfort and slowly recovered from his injuries. In the year 2000, he resumed his acting career with the film Forever Lulu. The following year, he worked in the movies Donnie Darko and Green Dragon. The plane accident and a return to old habits? Beyond movies, Swayze made the news in 2000 in something else completely unrelated to entertainment. Swayze and his wife were both FAA-licensed pilots. In June, he decided to fly with his dogs in his twin-engined Cessna 414 N414 PS from Van Nuys, California to Las Vegas, New Mexico. However, during the flight, his plane developed a pressurization problem, which forced Swayze to make a precautionary landing on a dirt road in a housing complex in Prescott Valley, Arizona. This wasn't completely successful, as the plane's right wing struck a light pole, but Swayze was unharmed. Here was where trouble came up. When the police arrived at the spot and started questioning witnesses, they gave a different report. They claimed Swayze was extremely intoxicated and had asked for help to hide an open bottle of wine and a 30-pack of beer from the crash site. Swayze himself was nowhere to be found for several hours. However, the reports from witnesses were discovered to be false, as the alcohol they claimed he had was not in the cabin, but kept in an external storage area inaccessible during flight. According to the police report, the probable cause of the accident was Swayze's physical impairment due to the cumulative effects of carbon monoxide from engine exhaust byproducts, carbon monoxide from heavy tobacco use, and the loss of an undetermined amount of cabin pressurization, resulting in hypoxia. 2002 saw the actor return to work.
Well, I guess, I'm a pretty lucky man because Candy has always had a very healthy appetite for old Gunther here.
Devoting his time to acting in various films and television series, such as Waking Up, One Last Dance, Dirty Dancing, Havana Nights, King Solomon's Mines, The Beast, and so many others. Cancer. However, his career was suddenly stopped at 57 years old when he was diagnosed with cancer in March 2008. His wife recounted how it all started. He came to me and said, "Do my eyes look yellow?" He had some digestive problems and pain that wouldn't go away. But it was mostly the yellow eyes that sent us to the doctor. He said, "We'll go next week." But I thought yellow eyes just don't sound normal. We need to go tomorrow. We went to the doctor, and the moment he looked at him and saw what was going on, he sent us immediately for a CT scan. They had to wait for 24 hours for the report from Stanford University Medical Center. This was when the news was broken to them. The doctor simply asked, "Have you ever heard of pancreatic cancer?" Niemi said then, "I didn't know much about it, but he did. He had an endoscopic procedure to verify it. The doctor had given me the news, but Patrick was still drugged up from the procedure, and I didn't feel good about saying anything to him. I woke up in the hospital room, and the doctor was sitting in there talking to him. As soon as the doctor left the room, he looked at me and said, 'I'm a dead man.'" While Swayze resigned himself to his fate, the many doctors the couple met with didn't do much to give them hope, but the couple had overcome a lot and were willing to fight despite the fact that the odds were against them.
We went to the doctor, saw him that day. He got us in that day when we said what was going on. Immediately sent him over for CT.
Niemi wrote in her memoir, "We called ourselves realistic optimists. There's always a miracle, always the person who breaks through and says, 'Why not you?' We fought it for as long as his body could. It was a tough journey, but it was worth it." When Swayze decided to go public with his diagnosis in July, he was optimistic about his chances of survival. He said, "My treatments are working and I am winning the battle. I am juicing every day along with other treatments, and all I can say is that it's working fine and really well. I'm a miracle, dude. I don't know why." Niemi, however, believes her husband initially wanted to keep things quiet. "I think Patrick would have preferred to have kept his battle very private. He went out and shot a whole TV series when he was fighting pancreatic cancer, which was extraordinary because he was putting in 14 hours a day, 5 days a week, and getting chemo on the weekend. Anyway, the news was out there, and it brought a lot of attention to the cancer itself, which had no obvious early detection. and it had one of the lowest survival rates in a very difficult treatment process. In September 2008, Swayze shockingly appeared on the simulcast of Stand Up to Cancer. He encouraged the viewers to donate towards cancer research while pouring his heart out in a wonderful speech.
But the longer we do nothing, more people will die. Together we can make the world where cancer no longer means living with fear, without hope, or worse.
I dream that the word cure will no longer be followed by the words, it's impossible. Together, we can make a world where cancer no longer means living with fear, without hope, or worse. Swayze's voice within these different cancer organizations helped raise more awareness about the disease. Swayze himself continued working on his busy schedule until January 9th, 2009. Pneumonia and the cancer returned. At this point, he caught pneumonia and had to be hospitalized. Doctors determined that the pneumonia was a complication of the chemotherapy treatments that Swayze had passed through. And a few months later, it was discovered that the cancer that had previously been dealt with had metastasized to his liver. To some extent, many believed that Swayze's smoking habit greatly contributed to the deterioration of his health. He himself confessed, "I will go so far as to say probably smoking has something to do with my pancreatic cancer." Looking at his physical disposition, it is probably difficult to gauge the movie star's condition at the time, because he always looked quite fit, but he had admitted to smoking about 60 cigarettes a day and had been a persistent smoker for about 4 decades. Also, it is believed that a third of all pancreatic cancer cases are linked to smoking. Swayze's death. At a point, it was clear that Swayze was losing the fight against cancer that was ravaging his body. Niemi recounted her husband's final days in her memoir Worth Fighting For. "My last words to Patrick, I love you." And those were his last words to me. After I brought him home, things went very fast. I cherished our time alone, holding his hand, listening to music, sleeping with my arm around him, my head on his shoulder, wordlessly, in the quiet of Monday morning. September 14th, I looked at his face and listened to the tiny sips of air he was taking. There was something delicate, childlike about it. I knew it was time. On September 14th, 2009, the icon died, and his body was cremated, and his ashes were scattered over his ranch in New Mexico. Swayze had died at 57 and had no children, but had happily spent 34 of those years with Niemi. Rumors of Swayze's childhood abuse. To honor Swayze's memory, a documentary, I Am Patrick Swayze, was aired, and it featured some shocking information about the actor's life. Video. Niemi claimed that Swayze's mother, Patsy, physically abused him as a child. This was shocking, because this was unknown, and no word of this was mentioned when Swayze was alive. She had more to say on the matter, stating that his mother could be very violent, but it was nothing compared to what she endured growing up, and the stories I heard about what she went through with her own mother. Patrick privately recounted the story of his 18th birthday, when Patsy was laying into him before his father, Jesse, told his wife Patsy that he would divorce her if she touched their son again. According to Niemi, that was when Patsy stopped hitting Swayze. It was also reported that Patsy even followed her son and Niemi to Hollywood and began working as a choreographer in the film industry. Swayze's brother Don also contributed, saying, "He always thought Mom was so strict and so hard on him, but the way I saw it, she just used that to spur him on. He was everything to my mother." The truth can only be gotten from the actor himself, who lived through the experience. Niemi, some years after her late husband's death, remarried. She said even though she loved her new husband, it had nothing to do with her love for her late husband. In fact, to her, it doesn't affect that at all.
Albert and I both felt like we had a lot of love still left to give.
Patrick Swayze truly lived, and his existence reached millions of people thanks to his talent and resilience. His impact on entertainment and outside it can't be swept aside or forgotten. The star simply lived his personal philosophy. To live passionately, we have to risk everything, including our hearts. Otherwise, we just exist.